Hey everybody, welcome to the ExoCast News channel. We are going to go through our breaking news updates for today, June 1st, 2026. So what we are starting with is that Fox News has reported that U.S. Southern Command released dramatic video showing the moment American forces struck a suspected drug trafficking boat in the Eastern Pacific, which eliminated 3 alleged narco-terrorists, and this came with footage. Anti-ICE protesters, law enforcement officers, and ICE supporters faced off outside Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey on May 30th as demonstrations intensified throughout the day. Video from the scene showed growing tensions and protesters pushing barricades, separating them from state police. The Department of Homeland Security said state and local law enforcement joined ICE agents to maintain security around the facility. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill urged peaceful demonstrations while calling for improved conditions and access for detainees. President Trump has dropped a bombshell by ordering the Department of Justice to conduct a comprehensive probe into Act Blue, the Democratic Party's fundraising platform, over allegations of widespread election fraud and illicit foreign contributions. This comes from @_positive_vibes on the X platform. According to CNBC News, President Donald Trump on Monday shrugged off the possible collapse of peace negotiations with Iran, telling CNBC, "I don't care if they're over, honestly. I really don't care. I couldn't care less," in his own words. Trump told CNBC's Eamon Javers in a phone interview when asked about reporting that Iranian negotiators will stop communications with the U.S. due to Israel's military operations in Lebanon. Trump told CNBC that he was going to ask Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu what's going on with Lebanon. He also said he wasn't worried about oil prices, which spiked following the report in Iranian state media that Tehran is vowing to completely block the Strait of Hormuz in addition to halting negotiations. Israeli forces have made their deepest incursion inside of Lebanon, despite a nominal U.S. brokered ceasefire and the first direct Israel-Lebanon talks in decades. On Sunday, Israeli forces seized a symbolic fort in southern Lebanon, Beaufort Castle, perched at over 700 meters or 3,000 feet above sea level. This comes from Ali Sharafuddin from the Associated Press. Beirut Today, or from their IG channel, France has requested an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council following Israel's capture of Beaufort Castle, also known as Kala'at al-Shakif in southern Lebanon. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot condemned the Israeli ground incursion, describing the expansion of military operations inside of Lebanon as a serious violation of international law. Barrett said the move contradicts the ceasefire in place since April 17th and warned that continued airstrikes and ground operations are worsening both the humanitarian and security situation in southern Lebanon. Apparently, the report formerly on my videos of President Pezeshkian stepping down was misinformation, according to the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, according to NXW News. Colombian presidential candidates cast their ballots in the first round of the South American nation's presidential elections on Sunday. There is an Associated Press video that was shot by Marco Alvarez and Samuel Sotomayor about that, which you can find online. According to Anna Maria Constantine with the Next Web, DuckDuckGo has installed, DuckDuckGo installs have jumped 18% after Google killed the blue links and added AI. On Apple devices, the spike has actually hit 70%. Traffic to DuckDuckGo's AI free search page rose 23% in the same week. CEO Gabriel Weinberg says Google is force-feeding AI with no way to opt out. So this is showing consumer sentiments around AI. Apparently, they are not liking it and going more towards privacy. Kelvin Chen with Taiwan News wrote Taipei, Taiwan News, that the Foundation for International Cooperation in Higher Education of Taiwan, or FICHET, and the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, the AASCU, signed a Memorandum of Understanding on Wednesday to establish a Taiwan-U.S. Semiconductor Education Alliance. FICHET Chair Lee Tsai-yin and AASCU President Charles Welch signed the agreement during a semiconductor higher education networking event in Orlando, Florida, according to the Ministry of Education. Education Minister Chang Ying-yao witnessed the signing. A total of 23 universities from Taiwan participated in the conference, along with representatives from 27 U.S. institutions. AASCU is an organization made up of public colleges and universities supported and governed by U.S. state governments. Reuters reports that at least 55 people were reportedly killed in a blast in Myanmar's Kong Tot village, which a rebel army said was caused by the accidental explosion of material stored for use in mining. The Taeng National Liberation Army, which is currently in a ceasefire with the Myanmar military and controls the village near the Chinese border, said there had been fatalities without saying how many. The BBC and local news outlet Shui Fi Maye news agency said at least 55 people had died, including 25 women and 30 men, and that dozens more were wounded. So a very tragic situation there. The Guardian reports that Lebanon's U.S. embassy says Hezbollah has agreed to reciprocal ceasefire with Israel under their U.S. proposal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has meanwhile threatened to strike Beirut and says IDF will continue operations in southern Lebanon. On his X account, he stated, following the repeated violations of the ceasefire in Lebanon by the terrorist organization Hezbollah and the attacks against our cities and citizens, I ordered the IDF, together with Defense Minister Israel Katz, to attack terrorist targets in the Hadahia neighborhood of Beirut. Iran suspended all peace talks in protest at Israeli offensive in Lebanon. Live updates of this conflict can be viewed at their website on The Guardian. In recent developments, hostile aircraft infiltration sirens were activated in Rosh HaNikra and Haf Betzet, leading to the interception of a UAV near IDF operations in southern Lebanon. Additionally, rocket fire from Lebanon targeted northern Israel, with one projectile intercepted and two others landing near IDF soldiers without causing injuries. Multiple projectiles launched from Lebanon have been intercepted, and alerts for hostile aircraft infiltration have been raised across northern Israel. Fortunately, no injuries have been reported in these incidents. The Washington Post report by Steve Hendricks and Susanna George also stated that Iran says it is breaking off talks to end the war after U.S. and Israeli strikes. According to the Hoplite Group, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps affiliated Tasnim news agency reported that the Quds Force commander Esmail Qaani warned that if Israeli attacks in Lebanon and Gaza continue, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait could face same maritime restrictions as the Strait of Hormuz. So even more choke points going on. According to World Israel News, sirens were sounding in the upper Galilean region due to rockets launched by Hezbollah. Iran has accused the U.S. of misconduct and bad faith following strikes on Iranian military sites. This action is viewed as a violation of the ceasefire, leading Iran to assert its right to take defensive measures in response. According to a public release, U.S. CENTCOM conducted self-defense strikes on Iranian radar and command and control sites for drones in Gorak, Iran, and Qashem Island this weekend. The measured and deliberate strikes occurred on Saturday and Sunday in response to aggressive Iranian actions that included the shootdown of a U.S. MQ-1 drone that was operating over international waters. U.S. fighter aircraft swiftly responded by eliminating Iranian air defenses, a ground control station, and two one-way attack drones that posed clear threats to ships transiting regional waters. No American service members were harmed, and CENTCOM will continue to protect U.S. assets and interests in response to unwarranted Iranian aggression during the ongoing ceasefire. This was posted by U.S. CENTCOM. Reported by Rage Intel and War Rage X on Instagram, Iran has launched missiles on Kuwait with reports that the Ali al-Salim air base was targeted. Kuwaiti air defenses responded to hostile missile and drone threats. The General Staff of the Kuwaiti Armed Forces confirms that any explosions that may be heard are the result of air defense systems intercepting hostile targets. The public is urged to adhere to safety and security instructions issued by the relevant authorities. This was posted by the Kuwait Army GHQ. According to OSINT Warfare on Instagram, the IRGC Navy announced that it had targeted the MSC Sariska container ship with a Noor Qadr anti-ship cruise missile. The strike was carried out in retaliation for a U.S. attack on the Iranian vessel Lian Star in the Gulf of Oman. Rage Intel reported that Revolutionary Guards announced an attack in response to the overnight U.S. airstrikes, warning that completely different responses will be met if aggression is repeated. Israeli media described the aftermath of the latest resistance defensive operations as one of the harshest days since the ceasefire in the occupied north, as multiple waves of rockets launched from Lebanon triggered 8 consecutive rounds of air raid sirens across more than 30 locations. According to Israeli reports, normal life was effectively paralyzed, with settlers fleeing to shelters, canceling daily activities, and remaining on high alert, according to arenas.tv on Instagram. PunchNG.com reported that an explosion at a plant run by South Korean defense firm Hanwha Aerospace killed 5 people today, local fire authorities said. The explosion was reported to authorities at around 11 a.m. at Hanwha's plant in Daejeon, about 150 kilometers south of Seoul, South Korea. A representative of the Daejeon Fire Headquarters told AFP that 5 people have died and 2 others were injured, without providing any further details. The blast is believed to have happened inside the factory, according to authorities speaking with Yonhap News Agency. Hanwha Aerospace is a major South Korean defense manufacturer which produces weapons, artillery systems, and aerospace components. Let me know what y'all think about that. According to Al Bawaba News, France and its allies seized a sanctioned Russian oil tanker called Tagor in the Atlantic over the weekend. French leader Emmanuel Macron announced June 1st. The Tagor was held on Sunday morning in international waters with the help of Britain and other partners, according to Macron. This is the 4th intercept by France this year of vessels believed to be evading sanctions. According to Politico, France also banned Israel from Eurosatori, a major weapons show. The Arms Fair is a chance for the world's largest weapons makers to showcase their wares, including tanks, artillery systems, and rocket launchers. What do you think this move means for Israel? Is this anti-Semitism, or is this warfare strategy? Let me know in the comments. According to MSN News, 3 church leaders were shot dead in Manipur's Kong Pakpi. At least 3 people were shot dead and several others injured after unidentified armed men ambushed their vehicles in Manipur's Kangpokpi district on Wednesday, triggering an immediate blockade along National Highway 2 and heightened tensions in the region. The victims were 3 church leaders belonging to Thado Baptist Association, or TBA, including former Manipur Baptist Convention General Secretary Reverend V. Sitalu. The 2 others were identified as Reverend V. Kai Gulen and Pastor Pao Gulen. Sources said at least 5 others were injured in the attack and are currently undergoing treatment. The injured include Reverend S.M. Haupu, Reverend Hekai Simte, Reverend Pao Thang, Leilin, the driver, and Gumong, a driver. According to KRQE News, Malaysia banned social media accounts for children under 16, but there's still some remaining questions. Malaysia on Monday began enforcing rules barring millions of children younger than 16 from having social media accounts, joining a growing global effort to tighten safety protections. Not all families approved of this, and critics raised concerns about data protection and potential surveillance. Social media platforms with at least 8 million users in Malaysia, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, must implement age verification systems and block users under 16 from creating accounts. Malaysia's Communications and Multimedia Commission said age verification for existing users will be rolled out over the next 6 months. Users identified as under 16 will have a month to download or transfer data, including photos and videos, before the restrictions or other actions are applied. The government said the measures are aimed at protecting children from harmful content, cyberbullying, and platform features designed to encourage excessive use. Countries including Australia, Brazil, and Indonesia have introduced or announced age-based restrictions or requirements for children's access to social media. Others, including Britain, France, Spain, Denmark, Thailand, and South Korea, are studying or developing similar approaches. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. From the Real State of America on Instagram, there was a shootout between suspected cartel gunmen and Mexican military, which left a U.S. citizen dead. A violent confrontation between suspected cartel gunmen and Mexican military forces near Santa Anita in Los Cabos, Baja California Sur, left 1 U.S. citizen dead and 7 others injured, according to Mexican authorities. The incident The incident began after military personnel responded to reports of armed men operating in the area. Officials said soldiers encountered the group and came under fire, leading to an exchange of gunfire. 2 Mexican soldiers were injured during the confrontation, while 5 civilians were also wounded. A U.S. citizen from California later died from injuries sustained during the incident. Authorities reported recovering weapons, tactical equipment, and vehicles following the shootout. No arrests have been announced, and the armed suspects reportedly fled the scene. Officials have not publicly identified the group involved, though the circumstances are consistent with organized crime activity, and the investigation remains ongoing. The Times of India reported that Google's parent company, Alphabet, is seeking federal approval to release 32 million specially treated mosquitoes across California and Florida over the next 2 years as part of a bid to reduce the spread of mosquito-borne diseases, including West Nile virus and St. Louis encephalitis. The proposal filed with U.S. EPA is part of Alphabet's Debug Initiative, a project launched in 2016 by its life sciences subsidiary Verily. The EPA is currently reviewing the request under an experimental use permit with a public comment period open through early June, and the exact release locations haven't been announced yet. Let me know what y'all think about that as well. That's a really interesting one to me. According to Vilius Petkauskas with Cyber News, 32 million Bumble users' data has been leaked online, a claim made by hackers. Hackers have claimed to have leaked personal data from 32 million Bumble dating app users on a cybercrime forum. Cyber News researchers express skepticism due to small data samples, suspicious seller profile, and low asking price. Allegedly exposed data includes emails, decrypt password, hashes, names, birth dates, employment location, and political beliefs. If legitimate, the leak could enable phishing attacks, identity theft, credential stuffing, and personalized social engineering scams. According to Hum Angle Media, ADF terrorists kill 17 civilians in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The recent attack has reignited panic and fear in Mombasa territory, which has also faced a resurgence of violence attributed to the ADF over the past weeks. According to Defense Blog, Northrop Grumman tested a new cruise missile that can launch from a pickup truck, fly 100 kilometers, and use AI to find its target without GPS. Britain signed a $48 million deal for hundreds more LMM missiles to keep its forces protected across the Middle East. Allen Control Systems showcased their Bullfrog AA guns that can take down drones with surprising accuracy. And Spain rolled out its first next-generation Eurofighter Typhoon. The jet carries a new radar that tracks multiple targets at once and a missile with 100-kilometer range. It's replacing aging F-18s, and the first deliveries will start this year. And there's other Chinese developments that are going on, which I may explain in the next video. According to Interesting Engineering, Malta awoke to a very powerful explosion at a fireworks factory near Magtab and Naxar early this morning. The blast sent shockwaves across surrounding areas, causing damage and injuries. While emergency services responded swiftly and authorities launched an investigation into the incident. And you guys want to look for that video because it's actually pretty crazy to look at. According to India's Integrated Atmospheric Deposition Network, Bengaluru-based Bellatrix partners with Korean firm for next-gen Earth observation satellite. South Korean space AI company Telepix Company Limited has signed a memorandum of understanding with Bengaluru-based space propulsion firm Bellatrix Aerospace to jointly develop a next-generation Earth observation satellite, which is designed to operate in very low Earth orbit, or VLEO, with a technology demonstration mission targeted for launch in 2028. According to a quantum computing report, in a sector traditionally dominated by deep tech milestones and hardware-centric announcements, London-based quantum software startup Moth has broken rank to launch Quantum Backrooms, the world's first consumer product powered by live quantum hardware. Demonstrating infrastructure agility, Moth confirmed that its consumer applications are platform neutral. Quantum Backrooms was developed to run seamlessly across disparate quantum backends, utilizing hardware from both IBM and IQM during its deployment. The product is currently in the hands of a select group of alpha users and is slated for a wider public launch later this year. Inspired by the popular internet creepypasta and urban legend, Quantum Backrooms is an open-access game featuring procedurally generated evolving labyrinths. Unlike traditional games that use pseudo-random number generations on or number generators on classical chips, Moth's title generates its levels and game dynamics natively using real quantum processing units, or QPUs. So that's pretty fascinating, right? Saulan reports on X that he shared his personal perspectives on an underlying problem that is tying Ireland to Russia's oil economy, stating that, quote, every day ships leave this Russian-owned factory in Ireland straight for St. Petersburg, carrying thousands of tons of raw alumina for the Russian war machine. Ireland's alleged military neutrality is a blatant lie. In the first quarter of 2026, 83% of Ireland's alumina exports went to Russia. This is not a neutral economic relationship. The Irish government knows this full well. Investigations by the Irish Times, the OCCRP, and others have conclusively traced the supply chain all the way to Russian arms manufacturers. It's about the aluminum economy, not oil economy. Excuse me. According to Bloomberg and Sensor News, oil refining in Russia has fallen to a 16-year low following Ukraine's attacks on refineries. And according to Kyiv Post, Romanian President Nicolae Dan expressed hope that Russia would strike Ukraine more precisely to avoid drones entering Romania after a Russian Shahed hit a Galatsi apartment building on May 29th, 2026, which injured two. He confirmed that it was the Russians' responsibility, but avoided criticizing the Russians' campaign. According to The Insider, Lithuania says Russia can falsify GPS signals up to 280 miles deep into the EU's borders. Lithuania's communications regulator said Russia has expanded its ability to spoof GPS signals in Europe. Russia can now interfere with signals deep into European territory at a radius of up to 450 kilometers or 280 miles from the border of the Kaliningrad region. Darius Kulesius, deputy head of the agency, told Reuters. Kulesius said that at the start of 2025, there were only 3 antennas on the border of the Russian exclave capable of spoofing or falsifying GPS signals. There are now 36, a 12-fold increase. He called the interference with GPS signals a systemic, permanent, unending Russian provocation against European security. The range, named by the official 450 kilometers, includes all of Lithuania, major cities such as Riga and Warsaw, and southern Estonia. To the northwest, it reaches Sweden's coast, and to the west, the Polish-German border. Paraphrasing BlackRock's Reed Mange, he basically stated that space is the next investment opportunity across multiple industries. Let me know if y'all agree about that. Grand Canyon's North Rim Lodge and Visitor Center is gone after the dragon fire has decimated it. A lot of fire damage is going on in Arizona right now. Nikkei Asia reported that Japan's Fujikura is to bring U.S. fiber optic cable plant online by 2030. The company is to bolster hydrogen procurement as their AI data centers drive their demand. Chloe Taylor with CNBC reports that the UK spy chief said that time is running out for the West to confront threats from Russia and China. The head of Britain's Intelligence, Cyber and Security Agency will warn on Wednesday that the West is facing a narrowing window to counter cyber threats from both China and Russia. Anne Keast Butler will say the UK is seeing increasingly brazen behavior from their adversaries. Russia is intensifying hybrid warfare through cyber attacks, sabotage, and attacks on critical infrastructure and democracy, she will say. A foreign influence operation is targeting northern Nigeria ahead of 2027, according to truthnigeria.com. Moscow-linked narratives and Niger's military regime are jointly driving a cross-border campaign aimed at reshaping opinion and destabilizing northern Nigeria. What began as Hausa language broadcasts from Niger's military ruler has evolved into a broader influence campaign reaching deep into northern Nigeria. From Russian flags in 2024 protests to grievances exploited in a foiled coup plot, raising alarms that foreign actors are shaping the political climate as the 2027 elections approach. The United Nations faces a deep funding crisis as the U.S. and China withhold payments, raising bankruptcy fears and straining global governance, according to the Wall Street Journal. According to Friends of NASA, a United Launch Alliance, or ULA, Atlas V rocket carrying the Leo 7 mission for Amazon lifted off on May 29, 2026 at 7:53 p.m. EDT from Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral. This delivered another 29 Leo satellites to low Earth orbit, adding coverage and capacity to the network and bringing Leo a step closer to connecting customers around the world, in their quotes. Named LAO-7, or Leo Atlas 7, the mission marks Amazon's 7th launch on ULA's Atlas V rocket and 12th mission overall, bringing the total number of satellites deployed to 331. According to TechCrunch, Anthropic, the AI lab behind Claude, has filed confidentially for an initial public offering, the company said in a blog post Monday. The company, which is valued at close to $1 trillion, submitted a draft registration statement to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for a proposed initial public offering. Anthropic has yet to list the number of shares or set the price. Anthropic said the proposed initial public offering, or IPO, will depend on market conditions and other factors. And finally, probably the most interesting news today. According to Newsweek, the remains of the missing lab worker Melissa Cassius has been found. The remains of Melissa Cassius, an administrative assistant at Los Alamos National Laboratory, have been found almost a year after she went missing. Cassius's case was one of a number of deaths and disappearances of U.S. scientists and government employees that attracted public attention earlier this year, sparking speculations of nefarious plots against individuals with access to sensitive information. Casillas was 53 years old when she went missing on June 26, 2025, roughly 70 miles away from the New Mexican town of Teos, where she lived. That same day, she failed to report for work, and her family said they found her belongings, including keys and a cell phone that had been reset to factory settings at home, but Casillas was gone. On May 28th, a hiker found a body in the McGaffey Ridge area of Carson National Forest, and it has been identified as Casillas. The cause and manner of her death are still to be determined. The New Mexico State Police said in a statement on Sunday that a handgun was found alongside Casillas' remains. I personally had a website running about this. It is titled missingscientists.netlify.app. You can go ahead and explore it, even if it hasn't been currently updated with this current news. And it's tied through a Nexus program through Claude AI, which tied all of these missing scientists together. I started that project when the missing scientist reports just started to maybe help out some FBI professionals or even state police in determining the connections between the missing scientists. So this is your breaking news. I hope y'all enjoy it today. We'll have more talked about tomorrow. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. Let me know what you think about this breaking news in the comments below, and stay tuned by hitting that notification bell or subscribing to my channel, and we'll go from there. I hope y'all have a blessed day. Thanks again for watching, and bye for now.